Hello, Pastor Doug, back again with another video. Today we're going to take a break from my Nehemiah series, and I want to do a quiz. As you know, I love taking pop quizzes. It's a lot of fun. And I want to take this very famous political compass test. It's been used by lots of folks, and I heard it's actually kind of mediocre, but I thought it'd be fun to go through it. As always, you actually learn more about someone by the questions they ask than necessarily the answers they give. And so we're going to go through it. I'm going to try to think biblically about it and see what happens. So, first question: if economic globalization is inevitable, it should primarily serve humanity rather than the interests of transnational corporations. Wow, that's a loaded question. Why are we assuming globalization is inevitable? And who's going to go, yes, I want transnational corporations as opposed to humanity? I'm sorry. You can see some very far leftists created this question. So I am going to actually disagree because I hate this question. You're trying to lead me down some path, so I'll say no, and it'll probably tell me I'm a fascist at the end. But let's keep on going. I'd always support my country, whether it was right or wrong. Well, I'm going to disagree with that. I mean, we're called in Romans 13, 1 Peter 2, to submit to authority. Obviously, if our country engages in, it calls us to engage in overt violations of God's law, we can passively resist that. So I'm going to disagree, but I don't like where this question, I think, is trying to lead us. It's trying to lead us, I think, to some sort of communist approach to things. But like I said, we'll keep on going. No one chooses their country of birth, so it's foolish to be proud of it. Again, you can see a leftist wrote this. I disagree with this. God has created us, has ordained us to be English, American, Chinese, Japanese, whatever it might be. And it's okay to appreciate and love your culture and love where you're from. Now, you can't love that more than Christ, and we should desire all cultures to be Christian. But yeah, I'm going to disagree with that. Next, our race has many superior qualities compared to other races. What do you mean by race? Like the English race, the white race? What do you mean by that? Um, I think they want us to strongly disagree. I'm going to go with skin color. Skin color is irrelevant, so strongly disagree. I do think some cultures are better than other cultures, especially those that are based on Christianity. But of course, that just simply makes sense. But let's move on. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Old political saying. Obviously, we're called to love our enemies, but we're also called to be, shrewd as a serpent in dealing with the world, but never lying or cheating or things of that nature. Innocent as dove, also. So the enemy of my enemy is my friend. I wish there was a neutral, like no comment. I don't know. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. The enemy of my enemy. I'm going to slightly disagree. Anyways, military action that defies international law is sometimes justified. Strongly agree. The final authority, according to the Bible, are nation states. Now, generally, nation states should not violate international law. I'm not for that. But this notion that international organizations are supreme, like the UN has more authority than the United States, no. So I'm going to say strongly disagree with that one. And again, this is going to make me a fascist, I bet. We'll find out. There is now a worrying fusion of information and entertainment. Absolutely strongly agree with this. And I think your webpage is one of them. Let's move on. Next one. People are ultimately divided more by class than by nationality. I disagree with that. I disagree that strongly. Again, wow, you can see how communistic left wing this is. The focus on class over nationality, very left wing. No, nationality is more important than class. Controlling inflation is more important than controlling unemployment. Okay, we're on to economics here. I got to think about this. Inflation is wow. I mean, that's controlling inflation is more important than controlling unemployment. Both are really bad. I'm going to kind of agree, but I'm very squishy on that one. Because corporations cannot be trusted to voluntarily protect the environment, they require regulation. Obviously, corporations should be regulated a little bit. I don't want corporations dumping nuclear waste in my backyard. That's true, but why are we focusing upon these things when there's more important things to focus upon? Because corporations cannot be trusted. You know what? Oh, see, I want to say I disagree because we're immediately assuming corporations are evil, but there's nothing wrong with government. So I'm actually going to disagree with this. I'm going to disagree with this. Oh, but you know what'd be interesting? I wonder if you disagree with this, does that make you on the side of freedom or is that going to make you a fascist? I bet, knowing the folks who are creating this, it's probably going to make you a fascist. But let's keep on reading. From each according to his ability, to each according to his need is a fundamentally good idea. This is from communism. Again, whoever created this is someone on the far left. From each according to his ability, to each according to his need. Strongly disagree. Social justice is contrary to biblical justice. The freer the market, the freer the people. Now, this is interesting. I'm definitely a capitalist, but what makes you free is Christ and the gospel, not economics. Capitalism does help, so, to have the free exchange of ideas and money and things of that nature, yeah, so I would kind of agree. It's a sad reflection in our society that something as basic as drinking water is now a bottled, branded consuming product. I'm just going to disagree. Land should be a commodity. Land shouldn't, my apologies, be a commodity to be bought and sold. Strongly disagree. Land, God has given us in Genesis the land, and we're called to have dominion over this creation. And yes, you can buy and sell land as a commodity. 100%, that's a good thing. So it's regrettable that many personal fortunes are made by people who simply manipulate money and contribute nothing to society. I'm going to go disagree with that. I mean, I'm first and foremost a conservative and with some libertarian bent, so I'll go disagree. Protectionism is sometimes necessary in trade. Sure, I'll agree. Just a little bit. The only social responsibility of a company should be is to deliver profit to its shareholders. All right. I'm going to disagree with this one, but I think not in the way I think many of the folks on the left would disagree with. I don't think the company has a social responsibility to provide childcare for their employees or something like that. But I do think the law of God applies to everyone. So I'm going to somewhat disagree. The rich are too highly taxed. From what I understand, I think that's true. Those with the ability to pay should have access to higher standards of medical care. Wow, again, how these questions are worded. You can see they're trying to lead you a particular direction. Those with the ability today should have access to higher standards of medical care. That's just simply true. So I'm going to agree. Governments should penalize businesses that mislead the public. can we can we penalize governments that mislead the people? So I'm going to disagree with that one. A genuine free market requires restrictions on the ability of predatory multinationals to create monopolies. Uh, again, generally agree. Again, I have a libertarian streak to me, but the government does have a role. Let's read that again. A genuine free market requires restrictions on the ability of predatorial multinationals to create monopolies. Yeah, I'll go with that. I'm going to go with agree. 6. Abortion, when a woman's life is not threatened, should always be illegal. Strongly agree. All authority should be questioned. Strongly disagree. Well, I say disagree. I'm going to go disagree because obviously, can you ask questions about the Christian faith and about God? Yes, but that's not blaspheming. So you should ask questions. All authority should be questioned. It's between strongly disagree and disagree because we're talking about God and we're called to respect authority. I'll go with disagree. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. We're going to agree because that's, of course, quoting Scripture, the Old Testament. Taxpayers should be expected to prop up any theaters or museums that cannot survive on a commercial basis. Strongly disagree. School should not make the school should not make classroom attendance compulsory. Oh, that's a hard one. Because my instinct is like, yeah, there should be truancy officers, but considering how horrible our schools are, uh, I'm gonna say disagree because I want homeschools. All people have have their rights, but it's better for all of us that different sorts of people should keep to their own kind. What? All right. What does kind mean? I mean, I think cultures do work better when there's basically some sort of agreement. It's nothing to do with skin color, but true multiculturalism does not work. And actually, no one really believes in it. The people who push multiculturalism usually demand complete conformity to their religious beliefs. So I'm going to say agree. Good parents sometimes have to spank their children. Strongly agree. 100%. It's in scripture. It's natural for children to keep some secrets from their parents. Well, it's unnatural. I mean, children do that, but that's because of sin. Possessing marijuana for personal use should not be a criminalized offense. Strongly disagree. Rest the potheads. The primary function of schooling should be to equip the future generation to find jobs. Strongly disagree. Strongly disagree. My apologies. The main job of the schools is to teach morality. Next, people with serious inheritable disabilities should not be allowed to reproduce. Wow, strongly disagree. That's just getting way into eugenics, sorry. The most important thing for children to learn is to accept discipline. The discipline of God, yes, but again, I think it's thinking about the state. We'll go with agree. There are no savage and civilized peoples. There are only different cultures. Totally disagree with that. Of course, there's savages out there. Look at the Nazis. Oh, it's communists. Um, strongly disagree. Those who are able to work and refuse the opportunity should not expect society support. I agree with that. Man does not work, he does not eat. To quote Paul, when you are troubled, it's better not to think about it, but to keep busy with more cheerful things. I sometimes that makes sense. I mean, why are you troubled? If you're troubled by sin, then you need to confront that. But if you're dealing with something that's not sin, that's generally okay advice. So I'm going to slightly disagree. First generation immigrants can never be fully integrated within their new country. I disagree with that because, well, the United States. What's good for the most successful corporations is always ultimately good for all of us. Oh, again, you can see how far left the folks who wrote this. I'm going to agree just to be a curmudgeon. No broadcasting institution, however independent, is content should receive public fundings. Should receive public fundings. I, you know, I disagree. I mean, because there is a place for like the emergency broadcasting system and things of that nature. Um, I'm going to disagree because again, I can think of some extreme examples. What's next? Our civil liberties are being excessively curbed in the name of counterterrorism. Yeah, I mean, sure. A significant advantage of one party state is that it avoids all the arguments that the delaying process in a democratic political system. Well, that's true. It is much more efficient, but it lacks those checks and balances. So, I mean, that's a true statement. I mean, it does run more efficiently, but I'd much prefer to live in a democracy. But I mean, that's just simply a factual statement. Although the electronic age makes official surveillance easier, only wrongdoers need to be worried. And I disagree with that because the state is scary. The death penalty should be an option for the most severe crimes. Sure, strongly agree. In a civilized society, one must always have people above to be obeyed and people below to be commanded. That's true. I mean, we need magistrates. We need people in the military. I mean, we are called to show respect to authority. So that's true. Abstract art that doesn't represent anything shouldn't be considered art at all. I'll just say agree on that one. I also strongly agree, but there is a place for abstract art. In criminal justice, punishment should be more important than rehabilitation. I agree with that. It's more about punishment. It is a waste of time to try to rehabilitate some criminals. Some criminals? I would agree with that. Again, some criminals. The business person and the manufacturer are more important than the writer and the artist. Oh, man. The business person, the manufacturer, than the writer or the artist. I'm going to have to disagree. But which one's? Yeah, I'm going to disagree with that one. Mothers may have careers, but their first duty is to be homemakers. Strongly agree with that. Almost all politicians promise economic growth, but we should heed the warning of climate science that growth is detrimental to our efforts to curb global warming. Strongly disagree. Making peace with the establishment is an important aspect of maturity. What's the establishment? But showing respect for authority is. So we're going to go with that one. Man, these questions. Okay, 5. Astrology accurately explains many things. Strongly disagree. You cannot be moral without being religious. You cannot be moral without being a religious. Strongly agree with that. Charity is better than social security as a means of helping the genuinely disadvantaged. I'm going to agree with that. Some people are naturally unlucky. Strongly disagree because there's no such thing as luck. It is important that my children's schools instill religious values. Well, they're currently doing it right now. It's called the secular system. That's very much teaching a religion. So I'm going to say strongly agree. It's going to, but is it done correctly or incorrectly? All right. Hope we're getting down here. All right. Sex outside of marriage is usually immoral. Not usually. It's always. Um, is always immoral. Sex outside of marriage is usually immoral. A same sex couple in a stable, loving relationship, that's impossible, should not be excluded from the possibility of child adoption. Strongly disagree. You don't want immoral people raising children. A same sex couple in a stable, loving relationship should not be excluded. Strongly disagree with that. Pornography depicting consenting adults should be legal for the adult population. Strongly disagree with that. What goes on in a private bedroom between consulting adults is no business of the state. I actually disagree with that. It's not that the state should be raiding bedrooms, but the state should be concerned with promoting morality. No one can feel naturally homosexual. Strongly agree with that. These days, openness about sex has gone too far. Strongly agree. Okay, let's see what we are. Dum bum bum. So, okay, so it's between authoritarian and libertarian and left and right. So what am I? Okay, we have North Korea, Saudi Arabia. Did they show you what I am? All right, so I am authoritarian and I'm on the right, but not like hardcore. Now, the problem with this is like, if you're pro-life, does that make you authoritarian or libertarian? For the leftist point of view, it's like, oh, you're authoritarian because you're repressing women. But of course, it's the wrong way of thinking about it. You're actually being libertarian because you want the child to live, and that's about liberty. So, like, how do you define this? I am not a fan of this, but I'm not surprised. I'm on the right, and they're calling me more authoritarian than libertarian. I do think God's law has a place in society. So, but I guess I'm not a total crazy, but I'm right here. So I'm not Singapore, Saudi Arabia. Are there any moderates? There's like no moderates. Well, that was an interesting test. That was clearly very biased on the left. Well, I hope that helps. I know a lot of people have been taking this test and thought it might be interesting. Well, as always, Christ's grace and peace to you all. Amen.